Welcome back to the 90 Days of Homeownership Guide. This is week 3 in the process. We're actually going to talk a little bit today about the loan process, and we have a special guest with us here today, Landon Kessler from Idaho First Mortgage. Thanks for being here today, Landon.
Yeah, happy to be here and happy to help spread knowledge and whatever wisdom we can about the mortgage process.
Sweet. Yeah, we're going to kind of dive into that and talk a little bit in regards to a lot of questions that people may have, and try to get some information and some answers from one of the masters, one of the professionals in the industry. So first off, Landon, when we're doing these, or when we're talking about mortgages and borrowers trying to figure out financing and things like that, what's some of the hiccups there, or things that people may hesitate to reach out to a borrower or to a lender? Sorry.
Yeah. I think some of the hesitation might come with maybe a little bit of insecurity with their current situation. They're not sure, am I making enough income to buy a house right now? Is my credit where it needs to be? And sometimes people don't want to know the truth or the real answers, and so they hesitate to even ask the questions. And I guess that's my first thing, is never be embarrassed or insecure about your situation. I think knowledge is power, and if you're not in a position to buy a home right now, that's okay. But at least you've engaged with a professional that can assess your current situation and then give you advice. Like, oh yeah, your income just isn't where it needs to be right now in our current market. There's just not homes out there that you can qualify to buy right now with your current income. So, get yourself in a little better situation job-wise, or, further your education so that you can, get a job that will allow you to buy a home in our market. Okay. Maybe it's credit issues that they're, having, and then we can advise them, that here's some things that maybe you can do to build credit, or, repair some of the things that have happened.
Is there anything that you would recommend to somebody like that may be a little bit hesitant because they're scared, they're unsure? Anything that they could maybe do on their own to at least kind of see where they're at? Any suggestions, any tidbits of wisdom that you could share with them that they might be able to figure out without reaching out?
You can do it on your own if you want to do the research. There's mortgage calculators out there. There's people that are giving advice about how much of your current income should you be paying on a mortgage payment or your rent. Do some math calculations. Here's what I'm making per month. How much can I afford in a mortgage payment? Do some, you can do some mortgage calculator stuff on your own.
Or budgeting or stuff like that.
The budgeting process you can always do on your own. And that can get you started. But our services are free. We don't charge to have a consultation with somebody who, just lay it all out for me. Right. And then I can help them with, some of the things that
just have somebody to talk to and converse with and go back and forth on some of those insecurities.
I promise you it'll save you time if you just get with somebody that you can consult with versus trying to do it all on your own. But just basic budgeting, knowing how much of a mortgage I can afford with the current income. I think that's pretty easy to try to figure out.
Cool. One of the things that's part of this 90 Days to Homeownership Guide, you probably saw the worksheet in there, the debt to income. I'm going to ask the DTI worksheet. I'm going to ask Landon a little bit about that and see what he has to say. So what is DTI, Landon?
Yeah, DTI stands for debt to income ratio. It's a ratio, right? A percentage. How much of my current income, and you can calculate it with your gross income, you can calculate it with your take-home income. I think it's probably smarter when you're doing a budget to calculate it based on your take-home. This is how much money I'm having coming into my bank account every month. And then the debt piece is how much of it's going out to debt. When we do mortgage lending, that's all we care about. We don't care about utilities or what you pay for groceries, or we know there's living expenses outside of what you're paying on debt. So we have to reserve some of people's income for that. So debt to income ratio in the mortgage world, we're just looking at what pulls up on a credit report as a monthly debt payment for you. And so, typically if somebody is wanting to get pre-approved for a mortgage, the threshold is about 45% of their gross income that we can be using towards debt payments. So then we take their current debt that they have on credit, add a potential new mortgage payment to that, and that's how much of a mortgage payment they can qualify for if it's within about 45% of their gross income.
Good information, good to know. So I may be jumping around a little bit, but I wanted to ask a couple more questions in regards to what are you seeing with borrowers right now as far as hesitations, or is there things in the market that are slowing them down or stopping them, or what would you say the hurdles that buyers are facing in today's market?
Yeah, we're speaking at the first of 2024. Interest rates are still at pretty high levels compared to where they have been in the past, right? So if I were to say what's one hurdle, it's the conversation around interest rates. Everyone thinks interest rates are too high to afford a home right now. And so they're waiting. They're sitting on the fence and they're waiting for rates to come down. The other hurdle is prices. Home prices. It's just an affordability issue. And with what happened over the last 2-3 years with our home values, people's incomes and salaries, the median income just hasn't kept pace. So until we can get our incomes up where they need to be, we probably will have an affordability issue for a while.
Thoughts and comments in regards to okay, I'm ready to come in and talk to a professional and talk to you about buying a home. What are some things that I need to, if I'm going to come and sit down with you, what are some things that I need to be prepared or have with me when I come in and meet with you?
That's a great question. So everyone's scenario is different. So the process that I like to take with people is I want to get to know my clients and their current scenario. And we usually can get to know everything about somebody through a simple loan application. The loan application is going to have obviously their names and social security number, birthday. We're going to need a 2-year address history. We're going to need to know their 2-year work history. And once we know, credit situation, and then of course their income situation, where they're self-employed or they're an employee, then we kind of put together a documentation checklist, right? Based on your scenario, here's the documentation that I'm going to need to assess your income, to assess maybe your assets for down payment, that type of thing. So, but it's pretty basic. I mean, if you're an employee of a company, you're going to need a couple of pay stubs, a couple of years worth of W-2s. If you're putting a down payment, we're going to need to get a couple of bank statements. And so
if there's some complexities there, you can always guide and direct them if there are some different scenarios in that scenario, right?
Yeah, no scenario is the same. So the documentation checklist is similar for everybody, but we'll adjust that based on their specific scenario for sure.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you answering a lot of those questions in regards to that. Is there anything that you, being in the profession that you've been in for as long as you have, is there anything that you would want to add, or that you are seeing that may be beneficial to the viewers that you think is beneficial?
Yeah, the only thing that I would probably add, buying a home, taking that step, especially for the first time, it can be scary. It's a big investment in your first home. I just know that buying real estate is always a great decision. The timing of when you buy real estate is always better the sooner you can do it. Real estate will always appreciate in value. Now, it doesn't mean that you should extend your finances and be house poor because you made that decision. It should be thoughtful, and it should be within your means. And I would just say, get with the professionals that are in the real estate industry to help guide you through the process. And again, if the timing isn't now, at least and are armed with information to help you when the timing is right, and you can just rock right into it and roll. So I would just say, take the leap, get with the professionals that can help you, and then know when the best timing is for you.
Perfect. So that's a great question you bring up. You can basically within 15-20 minutes you can tell somebody whether the timing looks right, or if you would recommend that if they're right on that edge of like, we could probably make it work, but that you explain that out to them and let them know kind of where they're at in that process.
Yeah, exactly. There's one thing to be qualified for a mortgage, and I tell my clients this all the time. I can get you pre-approved, and I can tell you your ceiling. Like, you could qualify for this much of a house and this much of a loan, and then we calculate the monthly payment, and they're like, oh, well, I can't do that. Well, that's good. Like this is not within your budget. I'm just telling you what you can do. Now it's between you and your family and your budget, what you think you're comfortable doing. Those are two completely different numbers usually, right? Like, and that's great. I would much rather somebody buy well under what they're capable of so that they're comfortable in that mortgage payment, they're comfortable in that home, and it's a great experience for them versus maxing it out just because they can.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's a big thing too.
Well, I appreciate it again for taking the time and to answer some of those questions. Obviously, if you guys have questions and want to talk to a professional, reach out to us. We'll get you in touch with Landon, have you sit down or go over a phone call with you and explain what it is that he needs to get the information so that he can arm you with the information that you need to make the decisions of whether buying right now is the right time. But like Landon said, there's never a bad time to buy. It's a matter of your situation and your scenario, whether it's the right time for you. But real estate in general always appreciates over time. So thanks for being with us today, and look forward to sharing with you some more information as we go forward.